Inside this video right here, we're going to talk about exactly what you need to know to pass ACLS class. Let's dive into it. I want to help decrease failure rates for NREMT, for EMT school, for paramedic school. Watch these videos, watch this content, and believe me, you will start to understand EMS medicine. Anybody out there that wants to serve their community as an EMT or a paramedic should be able to do that, and I'm here as the paramedic coach to help you achieve that. Hey everyone, it's the Paramedic Coach, and I want to welcome you back to the video. If you're new here, this is your haven. This is the place to be for everything EMS medicine. From pre-EMT all the way to paramedic, this is where you want to be. Now, what we're going to talk about inside this video is how to pass ACLS class. This is the hallmark of what makes a paramedic a paramedic. You gotta know ACLS cold, like I always tell you, like the back of your hand. So when we talk about ACLS, the first thing is you gotta know sound BLS. When you go to ACLS class, your BLS is going to be the first step. So what does that mean? You gotta know what high quality CPR is. Now I have a video on how to pass BLS. Review that video first before coming here. And I'll put a link in the description down below to watch that video first. Don't watch this one till you watch that one. You gotta know BLS first. And they're gonna test you on that BLS in class. So let's now do ACLS. What do we do with all this stuff? Now what happens next is there's only 4 types of rhythms that you can be in if you're a dead patient. Okay? If you don't have a pulse and you're not breathing and you're in cardiac arrest, there's only 4 rhythms that you can be in. Number 1 is ventricular fibrillation. Number 2 is ventricular tachycardia. So VT and VF, those are our 2 shockable cardiac arrest rhythms, which means they're in a bad rhythm, we need to restart the heart. Okay? On this side of the coin are the other 2 rhythms. Asystole, flatline, no electrical activity whatsoever. It's not bad electrical activity, it's no electrical activity asystole. Now PEA is not a shockable rhythm like VF or VT. It is a non-shockable rhythm with no pulse. A patient could have the electrical system of the heart still working, but the heart has failed to pump. So there's no pulse, but there's still electrical activity going on. That's the way to remember it. I put a big shock symbol here, this little Z, okay? This is where you're gonna shock. This is no shocks. So what we're gonna do is keep doing 2-minute cycles of CPR, and in between, while that's going on, we're gonna do ALS stuff. I'll say it again. We're gonna do 2-minute cycles of CPR and keep doing them, and we're gonna do ALS stuff in between. Okay? So all we're doing is basically, same thing you were taught in BLS, just adding in some things. There's 2 drugs you gotta know cold. Adult and PD dose, you gotta know all your drugs, but this you gotta know for ACLS, okay? Epinephrine, 1 to 10,000, 1 milligram IVIO. Amiodarone, 300 milligrams IVIO push. So let's say our patient, we put the pads in the patient, and the patient's in VF. We're gonna shock the patient and go right back in to our 2-minute cycles, and they're continuing down. As we're doing our first 2-minute cycle, you're going to get IVIO access. If you have time during that same 2 minutes, feel free to give epinephrine. The thing is, you may not have time in the 2 minutes if you're looking for an IV or trying to get access. The IO is very quick. You may have time. Let's give you your IVIO, okay? Another thing here is when you start the IV, you can always start your IV fluids. That will help with hypovolemia. Quick tip. Now, it's not in the algorithm, it's just a quick tip. The next thing, we're going to come to our 2-minute cycle of CPR. What's going to happen next? Well, we're going to say, is the rhythm still the same? Okay, so we're going to check the rhythm. What's the rhythm? If it's still the same rhythm, we're going to continue on from there, and now we're going to give epi 1 milligram. Okay, so now we're going to give epi 1 milligram IV. Then we continue from there. Same thing. Shockable. If it's still the same rhythm, we're going to give amio 300 milligrams IV. And then we're going to keep doing, if we're going to go like this, back up to that when we do the epi again. These epis are going to be about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? The amio is 300, your follow-up dose is 150, and then you're out of amio. The cycle basically with VTVF that's persistent would be a code basically where you're doing 2-minute cycles, starting an IV and IO, giving epi every 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're giving epi, amio, you're out of amio, keep giving epis every 3 to 5 minutes. Right? So that's what it looks like. Eventually, you're going to want to look at your H's and T's if in any prolonged cardiac arrest. All right? Now, we start in the beginning. Shockable? Well, what's not shockable? We know that asystole and PA, we don't shock that. These rhythms, the heart needs to be restarted. These rhythms, there's some other problem going on. So shocking them isn't going to help them get out of cardiac arrest. These are not shockable rhythms. They're not chaotic rhythms. They're rhythms that were probably caused by another problem. Not shocking, not going to help. Shocking the patient, not going to help. So same deal. We do our 2-minute cycles. We get IVIO access and we give epi. We're doing all that. We're going along. The only difference here is no amio. Why do we give an amio? Amio is an antidysrhythmic. So amio is treating these lethal rhythms. Like the shock is treating these lethal rhythms. Right? But so we're not going to shock or amio a patient asystole and PA. We're just going to get access, give epi, and then we're going to move right into the H's and T's. Now, what are the H's and T's? What the H's and T's are is a system to remember to make sure you've gone over all the details on why your patient may have went into cardiac arrest. And if we have a reversible cause, which is what the H's and T's are, reversible causes of cardiac arrest, we want to try to treat those and look for those, because if we fix those and we continue our good BLS and our good ALS care, we may be able to save this patient. All right, everyone, so let's talk about H's and T's. So you have the H's over here, these all start with the letter H, and the T's are over here. Now, the first thing we do, I'm going to show you how I break these down so you remember them, because you will need, in ACLS class, you'll need to, when you're doing your mega code in ACLS class, you're going to need to spit these out like rapid fire, okay? You're going to spit these out rapid fire with the instructor. So I'm going to show you how to remember them like I do. Here we go. Now the first thing here we have is hypoxia and hypovolemia. We're going to make these two friends, okay? They're friends, okay? Hydrogen acidosis and hyperkalemia, we're going to make friends, okay? Now, if you remember the hyper here, remember, you can have high and low potassium. So we're going to remember, hey, hyper's got its own friend right here, okay? And then hypothermia doesn't have any friends, hangs out by itself, okay? We'll come back to this one down here, don't worry about that. Now in T's, you'll notice here we have two friend groups. We have the trauma friend group, which is tension pneumothorax, cardiac tamponade. Why? Both those things can be caused by trauma. Make sure you remember it. Okay, there's two things with trauma. Okay, tension pneumo, cardiac tamponade. Toxins has no friends, hangs out in the middle. Then thrombosis, well, a thrombosis means a clot. Well, a clot, a PE is a clot, and so is a myocardial infarction. So now, let me break it down for you. So you're out of code. Here's how you think about it. Okay, hey, we got to do H's and T's. Okay, here are your H's and T's. Let's break it down. Ready? So the first thing we have is hypoxia and hypovolemia. They're friends. Why are they friends? Because you're already going to be treating them before you get to the H's and T's. I'm pretty sure by the time you get to your H's and T's, 15, 20 minutes into a code, that you are already going to have at least a BLS airway, at least giving the patient oxygen. Maybe you have an advanced airway. You're treating hypoxia. What more can you do? Okay, what about hypovolemia? Remember, I give you a quick tip. When you start your IV, hang some IV fluids, right? Just have the bag there. You're treating hypovolemia now. Okay, great. What else? Well, the next thing we're going to talk about here is going to be hydrogen ion acidosis and its friend hyperkalemia. But don't forget, hyperkalemia, not just high, it could also be low potassium. You can have high and low. So that's how I remember the high and low. Why are they friends? Why are they together in your brain? Because we treat them the same way. Now, it's true that hyperkalemic patients would get calcium. That's true. But you know what else they can get? Sodium bicarb. Sodium bicarb is how we treat hydrogen ion acidosis at a code, and one of the ways we can treat hyperkalemia. So we put them together so you remember it. The next thing at the bottom, the very bottom right below that, is all by itself, hypothermia. Why is it by itself? You're not going to forget hypothermia. It's by itself, it's one thing, we're not going to forget hypothermia, right? It's right there. So you're not going to forget a patient might be too cold, okay? Now T was split up into two friend groups and one in the middle. One sneaky one in the middle. That's how you remember it. Two friend groups with a sneaky one in the middle trying to break the friends up. That's why I set it up like this for you. So you're doing your T's, okay, T, think trauma. Tension pneumothorax, cardiac tamponade. Who's a sneaky friend in the middle? Toxins, they're sneaky. And then wait, what's the other one? I'm trying to think. Oh, thrombosis, that's it. There you go, thrombosis. What two things clot and would cause someone to have a bad outcome, a bad event, a cardiac arrest, a pulmonary embolism, and a myocardial infarction? That's it. Okay? And there you go. This is your H's and T's. Right, so in the next section here in this How to Pass ACLS video, I want to give you a quick tip that's going to make ACLS so much easier for you, okay? Here's my first quick tip, which you got to know, okay? I'm going to show you. SVT, okay? All right? When we look at SVT, this goes with every single thing. I'm going to give you an ID here with SVT, okay? If you want to learn more about this and go through every single one, there's a link down below in the description called prepareforems.com. That is my private group if you want to learn more in more detail about ACLS, but I got to deliver this to you so you understand it, okay? So let's say you get any rhythm. It could be SVT. Let's say you get any rhythm. It could be SVT. It could be sinus bradycardia. It could be a heart block. Any VTAC. I'm going to use an example here of SVT, okay? If we get a patient, the first thing we do in ACLS is decide, is the patient stable or is the patient unstable? The first thing we do, no matter what rhythm it is decide, is the patient stable or unstable? And the way we do that is off of two things. And I'm going to give you a bonus one. But these two things determine everything, and one of them is always king, okay? So look, it's based on blood pressure, mental status, and then finally, are they symptomatic? But guess what? Blood pressure trumps them all, okay? Symptomatic will come in more with your bradycardias, okay? Mental status usually goes with blood pressure, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? If the blood pressure of the patient it's very simple. It's either above 90 systolic, which perfuses your organs, or the blood pressure of the systolic is below 90. That's stable versus unstable. That's it. We don't think about anything else in ACLS, okay? So the question is, great, you showed me an SVT. Great. What's the blood pressure, man? Oh, it's 89/40. Unstable. Okay? SVT, what's the blood pressure? And SVT, okay. What's the blood pressure and the mental status? The blood pressure is 92/68. Great, they're stable. You don't think, you just go based upon this system. If you do this, you'll pass ACLS. Rhythm, blood pressure, mental status. Now, what you might be saying right now, Evan, what if the blood pressure is okay, but their mental status isn't okay? Guess what? Blood pressure is king. you're not going to get a scenario of somebody who's completely unresponsive with a good blood pressure. It doesn't matter because blood pressure is king anyway. So blood pressure is king. Blood pressure decides stable or unstable. So we go based on the blood pressure. And by the way, blood pressure means pulse or no pulse too. You can't have a blood pressure if you have no pulse. All right? So here's SVT, right? All right. Stable or unstable? Okay? 80/40, unstable. 130/70, stable. Okay, now what do we do? Now we have stable and unstable. In every single algorithm, okay, unstable means you're getting hit with some sort of electricity, okay? Stable in your brain, I want you to think procedure or meds, okay? Procedure or meds. Now, let's talk about that, okay? So in this case, with SVT, we'll start with the unstable patient. The unstable patient is going to get 50 to 100 joules. So you start at 50 and you can work your way up to 100, okay? And that's going to be a synchronized cardioversion. The other pearl I got to give you here, I'm showing you one example here with the SVT, is with SVT or any single rhythm that has a pulse. In this scenario, you have an SVT that has a low blood pressure. If they have a blood pressure, they have a pulse. That means you never ever defibrillate somebody with a pulse. You only synchronize cardiovert people that have a too high heart rate get synchronized cardioversion. Too low a heart rate would get paced. Okay? That's unstable. Now, in the stable patients with SVT, we first are going to try vagal maneuvers. If the vagals fail, we then move to 6 milligrams of adenosine. Now, here's where everybody messes up and forgets. We have our adenosine. Okay? I need to give you a quick tip before we pop off. Obviously with adenosine, you have your next set of doses. So you can try, for example, 12 milligrams. Right? So you can try that out, 6 and 12, right? Now here's the thing. What if your patient stays stable? What other meds do you have in your bag to try? Don't forget these. Down algorithm, you have metoprolol. 5 milligrams IV. These are all IV push. You also have cardizem as well. Cardizem, the dose usually is about 15 milligrams IV push. Now I've also seen 0.25 milligrams per kilogram. Okay? But I would go with the 15 milligrams. Okay? Here's our algorithm. Notice meds are on the stable side. The unstable side is shocking. That is the case with everything. But you gotta know what meds, and you gotta know what rate, and you gotta know what you're gonna do with the electricity. Now, if you wanna learn more and get this ACLS, this core of being a paramedic, you wanna know it cold, click the link down below, join my prepareforems.com. We go over more in depth about this stuff, and we go through all the algorithms so you know them cold. I hope the quick tips in this video help you out with ACLS. Now my goal here at the Paramedic Coach is to impact EMS students, whether you're preparing in school or getting ready for your NREMT boards, your exams. Now, if you're one of those 3 people, if you are EMS students, my goal is to get this program, get this course out to every EMS student, because I believe EMS should be taught simply and concise. And I know this study tool I have down below will be one of your most trusted study tools that you use in your arsenal. I hope that I can be a mentor and an asset to the EMS education that you already invested in, and I can be that study tool, that secret weapon in your pocket that you use and you pull out when you really need it, when the moments count. And that's what I do here at the Paramedic Coach. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for all the comments, all the likes, all the shares. click like and subscribe down below if you made it this far. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Like everything that you were saying was just connecting all these links inside my brain, and I just knew right then and there, I have to have this program. I have to have all the information that he's willing to give. I need all of it.
I went through it. I spent the time and money in other areas, and I'm just gonna let you guys know that this was everything I was searching for the whole time. The first couple of videos I watched, what I noticed, I just immediately started connecting dots on some of these things I didn't have grasp.
Went on there, and then I continued reviewing, and I did it for about a month, and it helped a lot. Like I said, even after school, and I took that test one time, and I passed it.